Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to the Duck Under with Austin Pettigrew, and today we're going to talk some NCAA Championship weight class review, this time 174 weight class. And so let's get into the main storyline here. The main one is whether or not is something wrong with Zahid. That was kind of the main one. Zahid isn't right because if you remember, the year before he won the championship against Mark Hall, which Mark Hall had beat him the previous year in the semifinals. So people were thinking, man, Zahid's on the mountain world. Then what even continued that was he beat Alex Dingringer during the summer, and he also has a few good matches with Kyle Dake also. So people are like, man, who's going to challenge Zahid this year? Can Mark even touch him? Is anyone going to be able to touch Zahid this year at this weight class? And everyone was thinking that. Well, Zahid goes out there. He loses to Mark Hall 4-0 in Rec Hall. And, people were thinking, okay, well, Mark Hall dominated that match, but, I mean, that's a Rec Hall atmosphere type thing. Whenever it comes to the NCAA, Zahid's going to be all right. Everything's going to be fine. Well, then Zahid got pinned by Daniel Lewis by Cradle. And, that's when people are like, okay, what is wrong with Zahid? Is he all there? Is he hurt? Is he exhausted? Is he burned out? What's wrong with Zahid here, people? That was what the main thing was. People wondered, man, what's wrong with Zahid? Is something wrong with him? So, that kept on going on. Till, of course, the end of NCAAs where we saw nothing was wrong with Zahid. It was just, he was all fine. And whenever it came to NCAAs, so it never doubts Zahid Valencia again, like never doubts Spencer Lee, you could say. Another one is, their kind of storyline is, along the lines of Daniel Lewis, can Daniel Lewis break the wall and be a finalist? People thought whenever he pins Zahid that Daniel will be a finalist this time, but, he obviously wasn't. So, but, I mean, Daniel Lewis, a four-time All-American, so good job on him. But so let's get right into it. For first and second, of course, we have Zahid Valencia versus Mark Hall. And a little bit of controversy in this match. Some people thought that Mark Hall had the leg. I personally did not. I didn't see it completely, though, so it's my bias. Like I said, you're entitled to your opinion, but it's my bias. I did not see him hold the leg or anything. And I thought Zahid got the two. So, but yeah, Zahid and Mark. Zahid wins 4-3, but Zahid's path. So Zahid had to go through Daniel Lewis, Ben Harvey of Army, and Bastian of Utah Valley. So all right paths. Mark Hall had to go through Miles Amin, Taylor Luan, and Brandon Womack. I'm just gonna say as a number one seed, that's probably the harder path for one because I mean all three of those guys are I think top tier guys, All American guys I should say. Now two of them didn't All American, but we'll get into that. And but I mean, Mark Hall had the tougher path for sure out of the two. So, you get into this match, you feel like the atmosphere is different this time. You feel like after seeing Zahid dominantly beat Daniel Lewis 11-3 that Zahid's different this time. It's going to be a different match. And it was, Zahid's made it 4-3. Zahid won. Zahid actually took Mark down and all that too. So, I mean, you see Zahid win this match now, and now Zahid's the top dog again. The best part of this whole match, though, was whenever it was Zahid's celebration. So, if you remember seeing it, he strums the guitar, smashes him down, and shows the world that he's the man. So, good things out of this match. Never doubts Zahid Valencia again. And Mark Hall is going to be back next year. Now, this weight class could be different. I would love this rivalry between Mark Hall and Zahid Valencia. I would love to let it continue for a fourth straight year. But, you never know it this way. You could see more than likely what's going to happen or could happen. Zahid could go up to 184 now. And that could happen very easily. I would hate that to happen because I want to see this rivalry finish out. But, now you have Mark Hall could be the lone guy here because I don't see him going up unless Shakur doesn't return, which I think Shakur is going to return. So that's probably out of the book for Mark. But, right now I believe they are 2-2 against each other. So I'd love to see this rivalry finish off next year. And so, at the end of this match, you have Zahid get first and Mark get second. So for the third and fourth place match, you have Miles Amin versus Daniel Lewis. And man, Daniel Lewis had some bad luck. I'm just going to say that much. But Miles Amin beats him 4-2 after going in the overtime with Mark Hall in the semifinals. He beats a tough Mikey Labriola in the consolation semifinals, and Daniel Lewis has to beat David McFadden, which he did handedly. But, both these guys wrestled their butts out to get this third place. And Miles was able to scrape him out because Miles, if you've ever seen him wrestle, he's the kind of the headstrong, always looking for a takedown and all that. Daniel's just a dominating force in this whole thing. So you have that right there. But in this match, Miles takes it 4-2, and he beats Daniel Lewis. So Daniel Lewis goes off from Missouri, a four-time All-American, I think finishing 4th, 6th, 4th, and 4th. If I'm wrong, please correct me in the comments. But yeah, Miles Amin gets it done, though. Miles Amin goes out in the 3rd place. They say Miles Amin is the champion of the consolation because he has a better winning record on the consolation side than he does the championship side. I think he's like 13-2 on the consolation side, something crazy like that. But so yeah, the king of the consolation, Miles Amin, goes out with 3rd. Daniel Lewis goes out with 4th. For 5th place, you have David McFadden versus Mikey Labriola. Guys, this was a great match. David McFadden took it right to Mikey Labriola this whole time. Mikey Labriola fought back, though. And Mikey Labriola did a hell of a job in this tournament. He upsetted Jacobe Smith, if you call that an upset. And he fought his way through this whole tournament. In his blood round match, Mikey had to face Dylan Lighty of Purdue, which is not an easy match. That's a tough match for anyone. Dylan Lighty's a pretty good wrestler. And Lujan faced McFadden in the blood round, and McFadden decimated him 20-9. So 20 points by McFadden. Good job, McFadden. But guys, this was a great match. This was one of my favorite matches from this weight class. And David McFadden steals it for Virginia right here to get another All-American. And, if you don't know the story, David McFadden actually bumped up so Mekhi Lewis could be in the lineup. Now, I don't know if it's where because he didn't want to get beat by Mekhi or if he was doing it. I was like, hey, I see the specialness in this guy, and this guy's going to be a champion or something. So, if you didn't know that, David McFadden actually bumped up so Mekhi could be in the lineup. And he did this on his own. Coaches kind of question a little, but David McFadden did it on his own. And that shows what kind of teammate David McFadden is. I love teammates like that think better for the team. And, David McFadden earned points in my book for that. And he finished 5th as an All-American in this tournament. So against a tough Mikey Labriola. So hats off to David McFadden. Great match. Lots of action. Both guys won to fight it out. This was like a match of wills right here. Who would be the guy to end it? And David McFadden was by winning 4-3. So David McFadden got 5th. Mikey Labriola got 6th. All right, so let's move on to 7th and 8th place. You have Jordan Cutler versus Devin Skatsna. And, Jordan Cutler showed a lot of heart in this tournament. He was able to come back from a lot in his championship round. Jordan Cutler ended up facing Miles Amin in the quarterfinals, which he got beat, of course. But he beat a tough Matt Feinsilver in the 2nd round. And when you look at Devin Skatsna, Devin Skatsna had to come back from a lot in this tournament. He had to face a tough Ben Harvey in the blood round, but before that, he faced Taylor Lujan in the 2nd round and got beat by Taylor Lujan 3-2, but ended up being by fall, of course, but that's besides the point. And then, whenever you look at their blood round and all that, you see just the path that they went on. And Skatsna had to face Ben Harvey, who had beaten previously David McFadden, who ended up being 5th in this tournament, and Brandon Womack. 2 really tough guys in this tournament. But, he ended up sealing them off. And then, you have Jordan Cutler, who had to beat Miles Amin to go semifinals, but that didn't happen. So, in this situation, you just look at their match. Jordan Cutler lost 5-1. Or, excuse me, Jordan Cutler won 5-1. And he had a good match. Jordan Cutler did his style right here. He kind of eased back, did the counter wrestling. And, all that right here to be able to win this match. Skatsna did a lot of pushing in here, and he wanted to be able to win this match for Minnesota again, but it was not in the books, and Jordan Cutler ends up winning it 5-1 this time around. So let's move on to most impressive wrestler this week was, of course, Zahid Valencia. After everyone had doubted him, Zahid is obviously the most impressive wrestler this tournament because, he went from the 3rd seed to winning the championship. And I'm going to give another shout out to Mikey Labriola. Mikey Labriola was tough. He beat a tough Jacobe Smith, who I'll get to in a minute. And he just kept battling all the way through. And Mikey Labriola is a guy to keep watching out for because this dude's going to be something special eventually. He could be in the finals too at some point. But, Zahid, one of the most impressive guys this turn, just dominates his way through in all honesty. he beats Daniel Lewis 11-3, the guy who beat him. But that's how it falls. And then Mikey Labriola, again, one of the most impressive in this tournament, I believe, along with David McFadden. David McFadden, another impressive one in my books. After having to bump weight for his friend, bump up weight so where he could have that teammate wrestle, Mekhi Lewis, who ended up being the national champion at 165. He bumped up in weight, and like I said before, that's just showing a sign of a great teammate. What's best for the team, and I think more people need to follow in suit if it's what's best for the team, of course. But that's what you see right there. And Dave McFadden's one of the best teammates, as you can tell, just for doing that for a friend. So most disappointing this season one for me, and this is coming from an OSU fan too. But Jacobe Smith, he really disappointed me in this tournament. Not this year; he had a great year, but man, I love Jacobe Smith, but in this tournament, he was really disappointing. What kind of made me question, was the weight cut too much, or sun was up whenever he went in overtime with dude from Michigan State, whose name escapes me, but, he gets beat by Mikey Labriola. Mikey Labriola is always a tough guy. You never know whenever you wrestle him, but, then you just see it. He ended up getting beat by Kane of UNC. And boy, did that suck the energy out of me. And if he would have made it further, I thought he would beat Cutler, in all honesty. But, yeah. So, yeah, Jacobe Smith, I hate to see that for him because, like I said, I'm a big Jacobe Smith fan. He's a big, bulked-up, good wrestler. That dude has some talent, and he did have some talent, as you saw in his college career. All-American the year before. But, I'm so sad to see that because, like I said, I love Jacobe Smith. I loved watching him wrestle this year. He has such a dominating style. If you watched his match against Iowa, whenever he bumped up to wrestle 184 against Cash Wilkie, that was such a great match, and it just showed his dominating style. But, I'm going to miss Jacobe. Jacobe is one of my favorite wrestlers to watch, and he is such a great inspiration for his stories and all that. But yeah, in this tournament, Jacobe is the most disappointing, though, just how way the things ended, He ends up getting beat by, like, the 32nd seed or something before the blood round. 5-2, and come on. Come on, Jacobe. You're better than that. But it wasn't in the cards this time. And like I said, I don't know if it was because he was hurt, if it was the weight cut or what, but, he was disappointing in that factor. Close All-Americans, you have really two who really kind of showed promise. Dylan Leidy of Purdue, and man, this guy's a tough wrestler. It's sad to see him not be able to do it, but it happens. And then you have Taylor Lujan. I would have loved to see Taylor Lujan All-American along with Drew Foster. But, it didn't happen. He ended up getting beat 20-9 by David McFadden. But Taylor Lujan's always that tough cat who knows how to win matches. He knows how to win matches, but this time around, he couldn't get it done. I'm going to miss watching Taylor Lujan, in all honesty, because this guy is such a wrestler type guy that that he knows how to win, and it's upsetting when he doesn't win. But, those were the two close All-Americans. And a guy to watch next year, Ethan Smith. So Ethan Smith is an odd case this year. He was put into the lineup kind of last minute, I believe, and for Ohio State. And he showed a lot of great potential this year, It may not look like it on paper, but if you ever watched Ethan Smith wrestle, this guy has so much potential that it's going to be exciting to watch him in the next few years because he could be an All-American next year, I believe. I will believe he will be an All-American next year. Just depends how he keeps growing as a wrestler. But, Ethan Smith's one of those kind of shock wrestlers who you think, man, this guy's going to get so much better. Just watching him wrestle and seeing the heart he has out there, seeing the love for the sport he has, and seeing all of his technique that he's just going to get so much better at. So, yeah, watch out for Ethan Smith next year. All right, guys, this has been the Duck Under Foston Pettigrew. Thank you for watching, and remember, duck and cover.